Has it always been this way?
Well, even from the beginning, men hated Jesus. Even though he did nothing but love them and teach them and heal them, they nailed him to a cross. They thought they had killed him, but they only set him free to live in the hearts of people like you and me who believe in him. Then came the apostles, and most of them were killed for telling other people about Jesus. But by that time, it was too late. There were hundreds of people who believed in Jesus. So they tortured them and killed them, and they even left their bodies to rot as an example to other people. But the church kept right on growing, watered by the blood of these precious saints.
But Dad, did they want to die?
No. They didn't want to die. I mean, many of them had children just like you that they had to leave behind. But they were forced to make a choice. I mean, they could choose to live this one life here on earth and reject Jesus and be damned, or they could choose to believe in the words of Jesus and live forever.
I think I understand.
Here, maybe this will help you understand.
Hello, I am Osei, a former NAS president, and I am delighted to join with my friends together to want to boldly assure you that you are not alone in confronting this threat to the very foundation of our faith. WASSCE exams on the Sabbath. You've got the whole church behind you. You've got friends and family standing by you, and above all, God himself is with you because his name is Emmanuel. I can also relate to that because I also faced a similar situation at the University of Ghana, and through the encouragement of friends and by God's grace, I tried to be faithful to the Lord in not taking Sabbath exams, and that led to some name calling and some ridiculing. Some folks told me that I did not know what I was doing with my life and that my future was doomed and that I was being an extremist and that a Sabbath was made for man and not the other way around. All kinds of things were said to me so that I would change my mind and go with the flow. But by God's grace, I did not, and that cost me. But in the final analysis, the Lord came through for me and restored, like he did for Job, everything that I lost twofold. And so I guess my point is that if you decide to stand for the Lord in not taking WASSCE exams on the Sabbath, it might cost you. Some folks might call you names. Some folks might ridicule you. They might say that your future is doomed and that you don't know what to do with your life, and all kinds of things will be said to you in an attempt to dissuade you. But guess what? It is in the very act of obedience that we get to be witnesses of God's incredible power. If the three Hebrew boys had bowed to Nebuchadnezzar's order, perhaps we would not have witnessed that incredible story in the Bible. And so maybe James Razelo was right when he said that truth forever on the scaffold, wrong forever on the throne, yet that scaffold sways the future, and behind the dim unknown standeth God within the shadow, keeping watch above his own. And so I want to challenge you, be a Shadrach, be a Meshach, be an Abednego, and leave the consequences to God. I cannot promise that the end result will be like that of the three Hebrew boys, but all things work together for good to them that love the Lord and are called according to his promises. How do we know this? Because God is faithful and he will keep watch above you.
My dad could even pray in school.
Hi there, my name is Mrs. Dalali Kofi. This morning I want to to wish all WASSCE candidates the very best, and to those who are faced with Sabbath exams, I want you to know that God is in control. I have personally heard testimonies from people who were faced with Sabbath exams. Some got the opportunity to write, some didn't. But in the end, God was faithful. God came through for them. I want to say that I know that this situation is hard. You don't know what to do. But I want to tell you that God is in control. Just trust Him. Know that everything will be fine. So just keep hoping. Just keep trusting in God. He is with you. Even in the well, it is well. God bless you.
Hi friends, my name is Luther, and I would like to encourage my younger brothers and sisters who are yet to take their WASSCE exams, and some of them are being scheduled on the Sabbath. It is a difficult time. It's a difficult decision to make at this point in time. I just want to encourage you with my own story. My second year in the university, I decided to I told God that He should take charge of my life, since there were a lot of Sabbath papers to be written, IAs to be taken, and I just told Him that I'm not going to take any of them till I finish school. If things go badly and my life turns out to be as I don't expect, everybody will know that I serve Him. And if my life goes well, it will be an honor unto His name. And so that was the decision. It was difficult. I couldn't graduate the year I completed. Many challenges. But after school, I got a job. I've had other opportunities. God has been faithful. I've even been able to do my master's and all that. What I can say is that it is a hard time. It's a difficult decision, but God is faithful. That's the assurance I can give to you. God is faithful. He is faithful. It's difficult, but God is still with us. He'll be with you. He will see you through. God bless you.
Hello, my name is Ellen, and I am an alumnus of the University of Ghana. Way back in uni days, there were so many Sabbath exam challenges. I remember there were sleepless nights, and there were also so many tears I shed over the bad experiences I had in having exams scheduled for Sabbath. There was one particular day, it was a Sabbath morning. I remember lying on my bed and crying, and I asked God, is this how my life is going to end? I remember vividly, because at that time it seemed as if my life was crashing down on me. Fast forward today, by God's grace, I have now graduated. I am a chartered accountant, and I'm also a chartered tax consultant, to the glory of God. And I still remember that day when I was crying and I asked God if that was how my life was going to end. I still knew at that time that if I were given the opportunity to start all over again, I would have still made the choices I made for God. I would have still chosen not to take exam on Sabbath or study on Sabbath. But how did I arrive at this? How did I get to this point? The turning point in my life where I decided to take a stance for God when it came to the Sabbath all began when I was in senior high school, just as you are currently. And when I was in senior high school, I remember there was a time when one of my teachers decided to put some of our classes on Sabbath because he wanted us to be able to catch up on so many topics we were lagging behind in. And it was a math class. So when it was put on Sabbath, I was very worried. I was afraid. and this teacher too happened to be very strict. So on the day the class was to start, the first day the Sabbath class was to start, when my mates were going, I gave one of them a note to give to our teacher, explaining to him that I couldn't come for the class because I was a Seventh-day Adventist and not because I was just being lazy. So the note was delivered to the teacher, and from that day onwards, I became a laughingstock. Everyone thought I was very unserious. Everyone thought I was not being rational or reasonable. And those who went for that class told me how I was made fun of in class by the teacher and my own classmates. So from that day going, any class that was scheduled on Sabbath, I wasn't going, and they got used to the fact that Ellen would not take her class on Sabbath. And fast forward, there also came a time when I was in my 3rd year in senior high. I happened to go for the 4-year system. In my 3rd year, I had to take NOVTEC exam before my actual final year was exam. So that was actually the time I began to ask myself questions. I began to ask God, Lord, what do you expect of me? What is this about keeping the Sabbath? What do you really expect us to do? How you want us to honor you when it comes to keeping the Sabbath? And I decided to put God to the test. And trust me, I may not be able to give the full details now, but God was exact to the letter in the test I put him to. And final year came. In the 4th year, we took our C exam. And by God's grace, for the whole school, I was the best female art student. That is what God can do. And it was amazing that that same teacher who puts our class on Sabbath met me one day after school and said, hey, you are the girl who refused to take her class on Sabbath, and yet her God came through for her. I was amazed because I wasn't expecting him to draw that sort of correlation. And here I am now, back in school, this time in my university days, because of what I had been through and because of what God had showed me. I was already decided. And so despite all that I went through, I knew it was the right thing to do for God. And so for you, my younger brothers and sisters out there who are being faced with having your wasi put on Sabbath, this is just one of the testimonies I am sharing with you. There are many. And God came through for me, and he has also come through for so many other people aside myself. And so if you are faithful to God, God would also be very faithful to you beyond your wildest dreams. All I would say is that God is faithful.